Hi, I'm Chef Suzanne. Welcome to Chef's Paradise Live. Okay, so today I'm making a special dish. Actually, it's a rice dish. And I'm using the beautiful cast iron pots named Le Creuset. So I will show you in the course of the recipe how this particular cookware works beautifully to make rice. And I'm not making just any rice, I'm making something that's full of flavor. It's a dish that comes from the Arab world and it's called Mhamer in Arabic. And it's basically a dish that requires clarified butter, dates, basmati rice, cinnamon sticks, and bay leaves, zest of orange, saffron with a little bit of rose water, cinnamon, allspice, ground cardamom, and chicken stock. Okay, so every good dish starts with great cookware. So I'm going to start by bringing my beautiful Dutch oven. So the very first thing I want to do, because it requires a little bit of time, is to bloom my saffron, okay? So I'm going to bloom it with a little bit of rose water. So this is going to go inside my glass, and then I'm going to proceed with the next step. So in this beautiful French oven here, the Le Creuset, I have started to heat up my pot on medium heat. And that's the key when you're cooking with cast iron. You don't want to crank up the heat to the highest, because cast iron, and particularly enameled cast iron, works beautifully when you cook at medium to low heat. It retains heat so beautifully that you don't need to go all the way up. And actually the manufacturers suggest that as well. You'll have better results. And this is why a rice dish like the one I'm going to be making is going to be so successful in a pot like this. So I have it now on number 5, which is right in the middle. It's medium, and just by touching it, I know it's a little hot. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to take my clarified butter and I'm going to place inside my pot. I'm going to add in something that's a little unusual, but it's actually dates. These are chopped dates. Of course, I've removed the pits. So all the dates go inside, and I'm going to saute them with this butter. And then to this, I'm going to add the spices that are going to flavor this gorgeous rice that I'm making. And one of the spices is cinnamon, so I'm going to put 2 cinnamon sticks. I have 2 bay leaves as well, and that's gonna also join the dates. All right, so next to that comes the star ingredient, and this is basmati rice, 2 cups of it that I've actually pre-soaked for about 30 minutes prior. Before I add the liquid, I wanna also make note that when you are using a beautiful cast iron French oven like this, that you avoid using anything that is metal that will scratch the enamel, because you really want to preserve that. You have to treat it like it's really gold. So I'm using what also Creuset creates, and that is a spatula that's silicone and a wooden handle. So silicone, wood are okay, but nothing metal. The next spices that also flavor this rice, and that is ground cardamom. To bump up the cinnamon, I put in a little bit of ground cinnamon as well, so that's gonna go inside. And then that beautiful Jamaican spice called allspice also goes inside. So you can just imagine the flavors that are going to be in this. Now, what I also like to add, and it's no secret that dates and orange go really well together. And then how am I going to cook it? Of course, I'm going to put some liquid. So the chicken stock that I mentioned earlier, I'm going to add to it now. And then of course, I haven't put any salt in here yet, and you have to add in some salt. Remember, all we have in here is very, very sweet dates. And now the salt is that savory element that's going to give the balance. And I'm already starting to see the bubbles. They're almost coming up to temperature. All right. So as soon as it's boiled, I will turn it down and cover it. Okay, now my rice is boiling, but before I cover it, I'm going to take a pepper, a hot chili pepper, one of these very hot peppers, slice it in half to expose the seeds and put it inside. I'm going to lower the heat now, because now it is at the right temperature, and I'm going to bring it down to about 3, all right? And then I'm going to cover it and allow the rice to absorb all the flavor. And then in the last 5 minutes of cooking, I will go back to my saffron that I've been blooming, and that's going to be drizzled on the last 5 minutes of cooking. So halfway through cooking, and already half the liquid has been absorbed. So it's not long now before all of it will be absorbed, and we can finish it off with the saffron. And I promised you a lovely rice dish, and this is the final stage. We're almost there. So as you can see, the majority of the liquid has been absorbed, and this is where I add in my bloomed saffron. So I'm just going to, with a spoon it around. So I'm gonna finish it off, last 5 minutes, and then it'll be ready to serve. Okay, so now it's time for that fiery salsa that I promised you that's called dakkus. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take a little shortcut. Rather than chop all the things by hand, I'm going to actually use this beautiful mini chopper. And this is going to make my job a lot easier. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop everything in here. And the ingredients that I'm going to be using are garlic. I'm going to be using tomatoes that I have peeled and removed all the seeds from. I also have extra tomatoes, cherry tomatoes that I've sliced into quarters just to give it a little bit more texture. My spice is going to be cinnamon, salt, pepper, and a little bit of sugar, okay, just to balance the acidity of the tomato. And I'm also going to use a little bit of tomato paste. And I have hot chili peppers, olive oil, and fresh cilantro. And the pot that I'm going to be cooking in actually is a beautiful saucier, and it's also le creuset. And I am using this gorgeous pot, and this is also made of cast iron, and it actually has a nice little hole here to allow steam to escape. And this is going to serve us well when we do this sauce, because I want the sauce to actually thicken and reduce, and this is going to help the steam to escape and allow me to do that. So I'm going to be using this pot, but before I use it, I'm going to use this lovely KitchenAid mini chopper. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to add in is the garlic. So the garlic goes inside, and then I'm going to take my hot pepper and I'm going to just cut it coarsely, and that's going to go inside as well. And then I'm also going to add in my cilantro side, okay? And I'm going to start whizzing and show you how simple it is. The mechanism is just here at the very top, and it's chopping everything for me. So that's the first stage. All right, so I open that. So I'm going to start, first of all, by heating up my pan. Touching, again, this is induction. I'm going to take it up to number 5, again, medium heat. This is also cast iron, just like the big one we cooked rice in. I'm going to add in the olive oil, and that goes inside. And then I'm going to take what I have chopped, and I'm going to go back to the chopper for the tomatoes, but we're going to start with this first. I want to first infuse the flavor of the garlic and the chili pepper and the cilantro inside the olive oil. So this is going to get stirred around, and I'm starting to hear the sizzle slowly as it comes to temperature. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to take my tomatoes that I have already peeled, are going to go inside. So I'm just going to press it a couple of times. And that now is going to get introduced inside my beautiful fragrant cilantro and garlic and chili pepper. On top of this, I also want to give a little bit more body to the sauce. So I add in a tablespoon of tomato paste. I'm also going to increase the heat just a little bit. Again, I want to bring it to temperature. I just want it to boil the same technique that I did when I did for the rice. So I'm bringing it to boil. It's already boiling. This is when I start adding my spices. So I said I'm going to add in a little bit of cinnamon, and that's exactly what I'm going to put in. And then, of course, salt, very important. And I like to do it with a little love as well. And then again, because there's so much tomato in here and it's so acidic, a little bit of sugar will actually balance all that acidity. Okay, so I'm just putting in a little bit of raw sugar in there, which is probably about a good teaspoon. And then I'm going to also add in the cherry tomatoes that I told you I chopped into quarters. And then again, that's just for a little extra texture, and I like to add that. All right, so that goes inside. So it's really a one-pot wonder. Everything goes inside. You just have to make sure that you've sauteed your garlic at the beginning to accentuate the flavors. So right now, I'm going to leave it on low. I'm going to cover it just like I did with the rice. And you remember that little steam vent here? It's going to allow some of the steam to escape and help my sauce to reduce. So we'll revisit when we're almost done. Okay, and we've reached the best part of the day, and that is the eating part and the plating, of course. So everything is ready, and now I'm going to plate it and show you how I like to serve it. So, the big reveal. This is it. So there's the rice, and here is my takous. So I'm going to plate, and basically by spooning some of this gorgeous rice, and I'm not bothered by a little bit of orange zest. It actually adds beautiful color. And then I'm going to take sauce and just let it cascade. And then the dish is not over till it's over, and that is the garnishes of the Arab world, and that is toasted pine nuts that I'm going to put on top, and that gives that beautiful element of crunch. I also have some beautiful Marcona almonds as well. If you had pistachios, that would work as well. And then the finishing touch, I'm adding a little bit of fresh pomegranate seeds for color and also just to give it a nice fruity crunch. And then to let people know that there is cilantro in this dish, I'm just going to put one leaf right in the center here, and that is Mhamer with takous, or it's a date and rice pilaf with a spicy hot tomato salsa.